Today I'm reviewing the Hisense 65" class U8 Mini-LED ULED 4K UHD Google Smart TV, 65U8QG, 2026 model. If you want to check current pricing or availability, it's linked below. I've spent real time with this TV in daily use, while mounted at eye level, watching films, live sports, gaming on consoles, and streaming HDR content. My impressions come from actual viewing habits rather than specs alone. Let's set expectations early. This is not a basic entry-level panel. And it's not a boutique, ultra-high-end reference set you'd find in dedicated home theaters costing several times more. What this model aims for is a high-performance mainstream smart TV that brings strong contrast, vivid colors, and a responsive gaming experience into living rooms without complexity. In real viewing, the mini-LED backlight paired with ULED processing gives noticeable local contrast improvements compared with typical edge-lit or mid-tier LCD sets. Dark scenes feel deeper in highlights, especially specular highlights in HDR, pop with more presence than you'd expect at this price point. It isn't perfect zone control like a high-end full array system, but the overall effect feels analog to what you see in premium TVs. The native 165Hz refresh rate paired with VRR up to 288Hz pays off for gaming. On modern consoles and PC sources, motion feels fluid, menus, camera pans, and fast action are smooth without the judder I'd notice on slower panels. Competitive titles especially benefit from this responsive behavior. The difference from a 60Hz panel is real when you're tracking motion or playing shooters. When it comes to brightness and HDR, up to 5000 nits peak and support for HDR10+ and Dolby formats matter. In bright scenes, specular highlights and HDR grading show detail that feels more dynamic than average. Skies, reflections, and sparks stand out without being washed out. Actual sustained brightness in real content rarely hits the spec peak, but the panel still feels punchier and more impactful in HDR than many peers. Day-to-day color accuracy leans toward lively rather than strictly neutral out of the box. For movies and series I care about, colors feel rich without being oversaturated, and that balance matters more in everyday use than numbers on a calibration report. Smart TV behavior using Google TV is what I expect from a modern platform. Apps load quickly, navigation feels familiar, voice search works without struggle, and switching between streaming services is seamless. The operating system doesn't get in its own way. Audio on the built-in speakers is present for casual viewing. Dialogue comes through clearly, and surround-style effects in movies are pleasant for everyday use, though if you care about deep bass and room-filling dynamics, a dedicated sound system will still outperform onboard drivers. That's usual for 65-inch TVs. Now let's talk about gaming latency and connectivity. Input lag in game mode stays low and consistent. I didn't notice perceptible delay or smear during controller-based gaming, which matters if responsiveness is core to your experience. HDMI ports feel current-gen ready, and switching between sources, console, streamer, or PC, is smooth. Positioning this TV compared with alternatives, if your main goal is reference-level picture quality with cinema-grade calibration, a substantially higher-end set with finer local dimming and professional tuning will outperform most mainstream minis. That's expected for the price class. Versus standard 4K smart TVs that top out at 60Hz or have weaker backlights, this U8 model clearly steps up in contrast, motion clarity, and HDR impact. This TV makes the most sense for buyers who want vibrant HDR performance without overspending, value smooth motion and gaming responsiveness, appreciate a bright panel for well-lit living spaces, prefer a smart TV platform that stays out of the way. Limitations are tied mainly to form factor and category. It won't match a dedicated projector for cinema-style immersion, and if you prioritize audio quality, built-in speakers are a complement rather than a complete solution. But in everyday viewing, movies, shows, sports, and gaming, it feels capable, balanced, and confident without leaning on exaggerated claims. Check current pricing below and evaluate it against your needs.